to check on them, and they end up being deviant. The third factor that influences the morality of children is the role model. Sometimes that role model is explicit, meaning the parents tell the child that this is a noble person, this is an excellent person, whether it's a friend or an adult, and make the child to imitate and mimic the behavior of that person, or sometimes subconscious. If the parents do not set a role model for that child, the child himself will take the initiative. He will find the role model, but that could be subconscious. His friend in the school, the character in cartoon, the movie star becomes his role model. Therefore, make sure to set an excellent role model for him. And we, alhamdulillah, the followers of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, we don't have deficiency in this. At any stage of life, you can find a role model from Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. Set those stories. Tell your child about the story of Hassan and Hussein and Zainab and Kulthum. Make sure that those to become the role model of our children. Now, there are certain techniques. We don't only tell them and teach them everything. You have to make sure that those teachings will fit in their brain and they can acquire it and accept it. Number one, if you find an environment that is troublesome, whether a friend or a school or neighborhood or a club that causes trouble, bring you trouble for kind of ethical problems, try to avoid that. If you are in a city that there is no Islamic center, no Muslim families, you are by yourself, well, you don't have to live there. Even if your job recommends, make sure that your children in an environment that they can be brought up in a good manner. The reason that we work and put ourselves in trouble of working and spending so much energy for what? For ourselves or for the family? We only pay attention to the food that we give our children, how he dresses, how he sleeps, but we never think what kind of information he's getting in his brain or what kind of attitude we have. In the same manner that we pay attention to his food, his diet, we should also pay attention to his behavior. So if there is a place that is troublesome, make sure that to avoid that place. Set a rule for him. You see, brothers and sisters, here in the US or in the West, we set many rules, but sometimes we do not enforce them. It's better to start with 2 or 3 rules, but make sure to enforce them. Put punishment if he does not follow, and put reward if he does. If this child of you comes to the masjid and does his prayer, he's not doing his duty. He's doing you a favor. When you go back, pay him something. At least a kiss. Tell him nice job. Tell him that he should feel happy about what he has done. In the same manner that he does a bad thing. When he does a bad thing, you punish him, right? When he does a good thing, make sure that you also reward him for that. Set the rule, this system that is called carrot and a stick. Whenever he does a good thing, give him the carrot. Whenever he does a bad thing, give him the stick. Do not threaten him, and then your threat just void, hollow. Just tell him, if you do such and such, I will, for example, kick you out of your room, or do not give you candy. Okay? I don't want to see beating, no beatings. The thing is that when you threaten him with something, warn him with something, make sure that you implement that. Set a few rules and make sure that you follow the rules yourself. You see, sometimes we tell our children, do not watch this program. But what's at night? We watch it ourselves. Well, which kind of guidance is this? One day, one lady came to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi and told him, Ya Rasulullah, my son is sick, he has fever, but he loves date, he likes to eat date. Can you please tell him not to eat date? The Prophet told her, sorry, tonight I cannot tell him that. Why, Ya Rasulullah? Told him, because I myself ate date. So if I go and tell him, do not eat date, I am breaking the rule myself. Tomorrow, inshallah, I will not eat date, and then I will go and tell the child not to eat date. So when you tell your child not to do certain things, not to watch certain programs, not to go to certain places, make sure that you yourself do not do this one. If your child is listening to music and you want to tell him, do not listen to pop music, while you listen to pop music, believe me, you're just going to make fun of yourself. Because the child knows the hypocrisy. Says, why is my dad is doing this and I am not entitled to do this? Now there are certain things that unfortunately Middle Easterns who are so obsessive with their children do. Number one, Amr bil ma'ruf wa nahy anil munkar. We give them lectures, repeated lectures, lecture after lecture. Do this, don't do that. Do this, don't do that. If you don't see any result, there is no point to tell them that. Why? Because they get used to it. They get adapted to it. Therefore, they don't show any remorse if they do a bad thing. Because of so many times that you keep repeating those to them. They get tired. If you want and you see that your child has misbehaved and you want to punish him, do not use verbal profanity. One problem, us, when we treat our children, we use a verbal profanity. That's reinforced this idea that my father is like me. I do bad thing, he also does bad thing. The difference is only age. So once I grow up, become his age, I'll do exactly the same thing. If you want to punish your child, do not do it in front of his peers. Make sure while he's alone. Do not hurt his character, brothers and sisters. Why? Because he has integrity. He has self-respect. Do not injure his integrity. Make sure when you treat him and you talk to him in a private time, in a private place that no one can see you. Yes, if he insists and he keeps repeating the same mistake over and over, then at that time you also need to start punishing him